Now let's learn about the benefits and advantages of using React Native into our applications. The very first one is the performance of these applications that are built from React Native. So despite being built with the JavaScript, these apps achieve native-like performance by leveraging the native components and APIs through the bridge and JSI. So what does it mean? That React Native bridges the gap between the JavaScript and native side of the code. If this is JavaScript side and this is the native side of the code, it bridges the gap between the two sides using the bridge architecture or the JSI architecture that we talked about. Now this feels native like because this is leveraging the native APIs only, as we have already talked about that the view and text input, whatever the components are there in React Native, if we list down like this, view is the core component of React Native. It will go to the native side and check whatever the corresponding component is available for it, if it is for iOS view and or if it is for Android view, any of that, it will search for the corresponding component and will load that particular native component into the UI so that the apps look clean, efficient, smooth. So that's how the app feels like native like, even though they are built using the JavaScript, or we can say built using React Native. So next thing is platform specific customization. It allows us to write platform specific code when necessary, which ensures the best user experience on each platform. So suppose we are writing JavaScript code in React Native. While we are writing this JavaScript code, we have a platform API from React Native, which lets us check if the platform is iOS or Android. Now if inside the JavaScript we want to write some different code for iOS and some different code for Android, this platform API is available for us, and we check if the platform is iOS, we can write different lines of code, and if the platform is Android, we can write different lines of code. So whenever we create a project using React Native, in the whole project we have iOS separate project, Android separate project, and also other JS files where we write the React Native stuff. So we already discussed how can we write platform specific code in JavaScript, but suppose if we want to write the native side code, that option is also available to us, that we can create some native modules. For example, if we want to write some native code in Swift language, or let me write it first. If you want to write some native code in Swift language or Objective-C language, that part we can create native modules with. Now this native module will be attached with the React Native side using the bridge. We are going to expose this native module to the React Native side, and this React Native side is going to import that native module and render it on the React Native side. So this is just the extra step that we need to do while writing the native code, but this option is being available to us. So whatever features are not available into React Native, we can write the native module for that, and we can just bridge that part to React Native so that it is usable on the React Native side. So platform specific customization is it allows us to write platform specific code, which ensures the best user experience to the users. Let's remove it. Next advantage of using React Native into our mobile applications is the hot reloading part. Hot reloading, we already discussed that it is the feature where the code changes are instantly reflected on the UI part, or you can say on your simulators or on the devices where you are doing the development. You don't need to rebuild all the code, rebuild all the project. What's there in the case of Android? When we are developing the Android project, native project, when we are coding into Java or Kotlin using the Android Studio, so whenever we do any change, any minor changes into the project, we then need to rebuild the project using the Android Studio, and that build is then installed into the device or the simulators, and then we can see the changes. Now this is not the case with the React Native. There is this hot reloading feature, or we can say there is fast refresh feature nowadays, which replaced this hot reloading feature. We already discussed about that. So that feature allows us to see our changes, code changes, reflect instantly on the mobile devices. So this obviously speeds up our development process and enhances our productivity. The next thing is platform agnostic logic. So much of the application's logic can be shared across the platforms, allowing the developers to write core business logic and data processing code once. Now we just have to write any JavaScript code that we are developing into React Native only once, and we can compile it to iOS and Android. So this is obviously the most important advantage of React Native, that the business logic and the processing code has to be written only once, which is the most time consuming thing while developing the native applications. So when developing the native applications, this core business logic and the data processing code also might be written twice, because both of them are using different programming languages, Java, and the other one is using the Objective-C or Swift. So yes, this is one of the major benefits of using React Native. Also, this is the key criteria of React, that the code is made reusable and modular. The whole code is divided into separate chunks. For example, there is this whole screen that is getting loaded. Suppose this is a detail screen where the product is getting loaded. So on the top there will be the product image, then some titles, then some price, then some description of the product, then some reviews of the product and comments of the product. So stuff like that. So in React, what we do is separate out all of these components. For example, we are going to say this is the info component, then this is the banner component, this is the rating component. We are going to separate all of the modules out of this big screen. We are not going to keep everything at the same place. We are going to divide this code into small modules so that this code is reusable at different places. Suppose there is a place at multiple product screen where we display 2-3 products at once. So here we don't need the reviews section and stuff like that. We just need the banner and some description. So what we can do, we can render the same components, the banner component and the description component, and we can leave out the reviews component from being rendered here. If we keep everything at a single screen, so it will create quite a mess, because we have to write same code again and again. For this one we are going to write different code, and for this whole screen we are going to write different code. So this is not what is the idea of React. React idea is that we have to divide the whole code into small chunks so that it is reusable at different point of times according to different use cases. So this is the next important benefit of React, or we can say React Native, that we have to write the business logic only once, and we can reuse it at different places and across different platforms. The third thing is that this React Native is having a very large community of developers that are contributing libraries, tools, and resources into the market. So, whenever you get stuck while developing this React Native application, you can find resources or you can find help on this community. You you are you will be able to find the answers. Most probably there will already be the answers for your problems, but even if there are not any answers to your problem, you can put up your problem into this community, and bunch of the people will be ready to help you with these problems. Along with these problems and answers to these problems, there are various libraries and resources available due to this large community. For example, if you are developing an application, suppose you require to build a carousel that displays certain products. So instead of creating this carousel, this whole carousel, scrollable carousel from scratch using JavaScript code, what you can do is there will definitely be a library available with the name as React Native Carousel or React Native Swipeable Carousel, something like that. You can just leverage that library and install it on your project. You can directly load that component available with that library, and this carousel will be ready to use. So this is what large community means, that most of the resources will be available to you. Suppose you want to create a slider, let's say a price slider. So there will be much of the animation stuff, much of the logic stuff to increase and decrease this price. So there will be a lot of the code that you have to write if you develop this slider from scratch. But there will already be a library or resource in the market which you can leverage and install in your project, and just directly use that component, pass the minimum and maximum price, and this slider will get rendered and will be usable to you. All of these things are also modifiable, that you can provide your properties. You want different colors to them, you want different height and width, you want different steps to it, so everything is modifiable. So this is what is the benefit of the large community that is available in React Native. So obviously a major benefit of using React Native into our projects